There it is. There it is. What did I say? And of course, it's the Daily Wire. Ooh, nothing like a scoop of the naked truth right there. Ben Shapiro. What can I say about Ben Shapiro that you probably don't already know? Well, let's just cover the basics. Ben Shapiro is a middle-aged man trying every day to reverse his age without admitting that he wants to appeal to the younger generation, because every video he makes is an attempt to, I guess, own the younger generation. He's a very interesting man. You know, he started off growing up in California. He's gone on to try and write for Hollywood, but of course he got rejected, and now he's made it his life's goal to kind of turn the narrative onto woke Hollywood. He's one of those people who, you know, wants to call everything woke that isn't necessarily aligning with his beliefs, I guess. There's this whole narrative around what woke means and how it's not really even a word, it's just a culture war term that means you support LGBTQ people being represented in film and in media, as they are human beings who deserve to be represented in film and media. But I digress. Ben Shapiro has decided it is his duty, it is his God-given duty to, I guess, bless us with facts. Not fiction, facts. Because he is very often quoted, facts don't care about your feelings. That's true, they don't, because facts tend to be objective, not subjective. But we've come to realize that objectivity is, I guess, subjective to some people, because we now have, and not now, but I mean, in the past few years, especially since COVID, we've had people who don't have a real footing in reality. But as I was saying, Ben Shapiro has come out with a new series of his on YouTube, on Facebook, whatever. So given this, he's already put himself on a soapbox of, I am going to be telling the truth. I am not going to be steering you wrong. I am just going to tell you the facts. He has released the first episode of his new Facts series, and the title kind of speaks for itself. These secret groups are stealing your freedom. Already off to a great start. But I have a wild hunch that these groups aren't going to be so secret. They're just going to be less talked about because they aren't, I don't know, the Biden administration or just the presidency in general. They aren't the UN as a whole. They aren't NATO as a whole. They aren't Russia. They aren't anything that's, you know, in contemporary discussion. He's going to try to tell us that these groups are trying to steal your freedom. Or actually, sorry, given the title of his video, he's saying that they already are stealing your freedom. So let's see what he has to say.
There's a group of people who control what you are allowed to see. The news you read, the videos you watch, the posts you engage with. You haven't heard of them, you don't know their names, but they determine through methods both direct and indirect whether you are allowed to be exposed to particular messages. Their decisions can bankrupt companies, silence voices, and fundamentally shift cultural norms. Who are these people and how do they do this? Well, at the top level, you have a network of global elites that has created a universal framework full of guidelines and ratings designed to enforce approved narratives and punish disapproved ones. It sounds like a conspiracy theory, except it isn't a secret and we're not guessing.
Translation. This is the group that pretty much says you can't be a bigot on the big stage. Also, I just want to note how he's very clearly only focusing on leftist media. That's a fun little facet of this. Let's keep going. Look at this cover. Look at this cover that he's put together. Tell me this isn't somebody who's just dying to get to the Zoomer population. Tell me he isn't trying to access younger audiences. And he's the one who sits here and talks about grooming and talks about people targeting children. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. This used to be the guy who sat around in suits and talked about facts over feelings, right? Now look at him. He's trying to dress more cool, more casual, more appealing to the mass audience.
First, you have the World Economic Forum, WEF, and their platform for shaping the future of media, entertainment, and culture. Second, you have the World Federation of Advertisers, WFA, who represent mega corporations that control 90% of global advertising dollars. WFA members are a who's who of global business and include some of our recent wokeified favorites, like Bud Light's parent company, AB InBev, Hershey, Procter & Gamble, Lego, and Disney. There is barely...
Oh my God. Of course, he's got to call them out for being woke. This whole thing is going to be him talking about how these companies are woke and they're getting more money from advertising agencies. He's gonna talk about how they're woke and they make more money than he does, than the Daily Wire does. Oh my god.
2019, the WFA established the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, or GARM. Within months, the WEF adopted GARM as part of its platform for shaping the future of media, entertainment, and culture. GARM is a cross-industry alliance that brings these mega corporations, the advertisers, together with big tech companies like Meta, who owns Facebook and Instagram, Google owned YouTube, the CCP's TikTok, and even Snapchat and Pinterest. This unholy alliance created...
I'm sorry, did he just call that an unholy alliance? Because those are like easily the most populated social media platforms. The only one that I don't think he mentioned was Twitter, which, I mean, it speaks for itself. The situation speaks for itself on that one. He just brought up the most populated social media platforms and called it the unholy alliance. Like, don't get me wrong. I think short form social media in the sense of small paragraphs, pictures with captions, like I think that you know is not necessarily the most fruitful invention that humanity has ever come up with, but unholy, come on, man. Oh my god.
Think of brand safety as a dog whistle for censorship.
Brand safety? No. What? Hold on.
Think of brand safety as a dog whistle for censorship.
Brand safety as a dog whistle for censorship. That homie just said that not being allowed to say the most unhinged and be paid for it is censorship. No, homie, my guy, that is capitalism. That is the market being cornered. Okay, you are mad because you are in a part of the market that is being cornered. Okay, this is what you want. This is what he's wanted. He has wanted you to, you know, basically have the American dream. He wants you to have the idea that if you work hard, you can, you know, make all the money in the world. You can have that easygoing life where you work, you pay your bills, you pay your taxes, you gripe about the government, and you know what? Then you get to die with leaving your family, hopefully with just a tad smidgen of debt. That's what he's pushing for. And this is the product of it. He's mad because the tides have shifted in a different direction where you can't just completely be a bigot and get paid for it. You can't just sit there and talk about how trans individuals are not, you know, I guess equal humans as you and me.
Themselves. The brand safety floor means, quote, content not appropriate for any advertising support. In other words, if you publish content that violates these guidelines, you will be blacklisted from 90% of the advertising revenue in the marketplace.
Is he not kind of going against his own beliefs where he says that certain morals should be placed universally? Ben is a massive proponent of especially pushing like Judeo-Christian morals onto society. You know, he's anti-abortion, he's anti-gay marriage. He doesn't want these things to be accessible to certain groups because of his religious and moral qualms with it, right? Is he not contradicting himself when he says that this is subjecting him to not being able to say what he wants and make money off of it? Like, okay, we already know that you can't just say anything in a public forum. You can't say certain things in a public forum. That's kind of publicly agreed upon. That's part of the social contract there. Is he mad that you can't say these things and get paid for it? Like, is he mad that you can't just be anti-trans and get away with it? And by get away with it, I mean get paid for it? Is he mad that you can't be anti-gay rights or anti-women's rights and you just get away with it? Like, is that what he's mad about? Because that'd be just a little bit unhinged. But it's Ben Shapiro. His new series should be called Unhinged, if I'm going to be quite frank with you.
So, what have these global elites decided to put in their censorship framework? It started with things we can almost universally agree on, like preventing the distribution of child pornography or the advocacy of graphic terrorist activity. But
of course there's a but. Of course there's a but. He said it started off on the right foot, but then it kind of went the wrong way. How? Ben, do you not realize that the goal is the same throughout? The goal from bullet point 1 to bullet point 73. What an odd specific number. The goal is the same throughout, to make a more flourishing ecosystem on advertising, right? It's not meant to degrade and push people out, right? It's meant to be more inclusive. Now, I know I just said the pariah word, inclusive. Ben, relax. All right, I'm gonna rewind this because I'm curious to know what he's going to counter this with. He said it started off with the right things, but then it decided to back off.
Graphic terrorist activity. But they don't draw the line at what is objectively criminal, abusive, or dangerous. They continue expanding the guidelines to include far more subjective parameters. For example, the framework lists subjective terms like hate speech as a problem. It says that any
Called it. He's mad that you can't just be awful. He's mad that you can't just sit there and say the most awful things and get paid for it. Ben, if the market doesn't want it, they will not buy it. I know you're of the mentality, especially with your Uber, like, I gotta be a capitalist mentality. I know you think that when there's a product, there's a market, but I promise you that's not the case, Ben. When there's a market, there's a product. It's the other way around. There is no market, no profitable market for hate speech. Nobody wants to hear that except for the unhinged people who don't understand exactly what's going on, who don't understand what these social issues entail, what these minority groups who are constantly oppressed every day online in life. They don't understand the point that these people are trying to make when they beg for equal rights, equal protection under law. Like there is no market, no profitable market for being a bigot. You are mad that you can't get paid to be a bigot. Sure. Is it subjective? Yes. Because what we say now might not mean the same thing in 10 years from now. So sure, an older ad might not be necessarily ad friendly now. You have groups who have reclaimed their titles. You have groups that have changed the narrative about the words that are used to describe them. I'm going to give you an example, Ben. Samurai used to mean slave. Samurai used to mean slave. Samurai does not mean slave anymore. Samurai means a most respected warrior of feudal Japan. Listen, Ben, you are mad. Whatever you continue to tell yourself, you are ultimately mad that you cannot be paid to be a bigot.
Surrounding transgenderism that they decide is dehumanizing, or discussing what they deem.
Oh, God forbid we cannot just degrade trans people. God forbid. Oh my gosh. Ben.
Get enforced all the way down to the daily content you consume, including maybe this video. Well, here's how. We'll start with NewsGuard. NewsGuard is an organization that formulates ratings for American media. They rank news sites on a 0 to 100 scale based on 9 supposedly apolitical criteria. These criteria are anything but apolitical. They often.
Okay, we gotta look. Okay, so these criteria are as follows. Does not repeatedly publish false content. Gathers and presents information responsibly. Regularly corrects or clarifies errors. Handles the differences between news and opinion responsibility. Seems straightforward to me. Avoids deceptive headlines. Clickbaiting. Website discloses ownership and financing. Okay, nice. That's important. Clearly labels advertising. Okay, yes, that is important because you want to know who's paying for these messages to be spread. Reveals who's in charge, including possible conflicts of interest. That's very important. You don't want corruption. I mean, that kind of ties in with the other one, but I guess this is under transparency, so kind of makes sense. What's wrong with this? How is this? I see how it's going to be political. I see how it's supposedly political, Ben. I do. Because you know what? I can't think of a single conservative leaning, right leaning news source that does not repeatedly publish false content, gather and present information responsibly, regularly correct or clarify errors. I cannot think. The top rated, at least at one point, I don't know if it is now, but the top rated conservative, right leaning news source, Fox News, had a massive defamation lawsuit where they conceded that they did not tell the truth. But you know what? It was never aired on Fox friggin' News. That just goes to show me. No one likes to admit when they're wrong, all right? That's where the title of this channel comes from, right? I may be wrong. I don't mind to say that. A lot of people, especially like Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, Matt Walsh, Tucker Carlson, these people will never admit that they are wrong. And if they do, it has to be some incredible backlash that is pushed back on them. They get off by saying that they're telling the truth, but yes, they do tell you part of the truth, but they don't tell you the whole truth. So in the end, you don't get the full picture. And so, I mean, it's dishonest. It's dishonest. And I guarantee you from this list alone, Ben Shapiro is going to say that right-leaning news sources get rated lower, get less points than liberal media, than left-leaning media. But that's just because that's how it works. You know, go look at the media bias chart and look at that graph that they produce, I think every 6 months to every year. Find the news source that you watch the most. Tell me, is it where it should be? Is it where you thought it was? Because I'm confident in saying that I'd say about 75 to 85% of you do not know exactly how biased your news source is. And that's okay. We're allowed to learn as human. But this list is going to ruffle Ben's feathers. It already has. He just called it political. How about just produce, like, you know, factual stuff? You are writing a series called Facts, and you're going to sit here and the first thing you do is attack the credibility of the people who are sitting here rating credibility. That is discrediting your enemies 101. My cat just spilled water. Awesome.
Line with left-wing positions. During the height of COVID, NewsGuard falsely labeled and downgraded 21 news sites, only well after the fact admitting that they either mischaracterized the site's claims about the lab leak theory, referring to the lab leak theory as a conspiracy theory, or wrongly grouped together unproven claims about the lab leak with the separate false claim that the COVID-19 virus was man-made, without explaining that one claim was unsubstantiated and the other was false.
So, okay. All right. Look, I'm looking at it right here. They apologize, right? They apologize. They corrected their wrong. Now, I get it. That's these guys' jobs. But you mess up at your job sometimes. I mess up at my job sometimes. People mess up. It was trying to help people from getting the wrong information, okay? That's good God. Sorry we did that. Sorry we protected people from wrong claims. They apologized. Move on. Something more than Fox News can do. Fox News still hasn't apologized for lying about Dominion voting machines, okay? Sorry that 21 news sites got claimed to have some misinformation because they didn't clarify what aspect of it being from a lab is wrong.
And when you compare their ratings of left-leaning news organizations to right-leaning news organizations,
there it is. What did I say? And of course, it's the Daily Wire. Ooh, nothing like a scoop of the naked truth right there. Yikes. But it's false. It's liberals trying to take over the media. That's what it is. It's not their efficacy in reporting. It's liberals taking over the media, giving the Daily Wire a bad score.
Media Research Center, a free speech nonprofit, studied NewsGuard's ratings. Here are the average ratings afforded to left and left-leaning outlets versus those on the right. The study found glaring examples of bias by NewsGuard. The left's BuzzFeed managed a 100 out of 100 perfect score, despite its reporting on the Steele dossier and alleging collusion between Trump and Russia.
Okay. BuzzFeed should not be up there.
NewsGuard is a trusted partner to GARM. They help ensure that ad buyers and users looking for news can be in safe and suitable places. Now, for example, if I did an ad on this show, I'd have to do it with a company that doesn't make.
No, he's doing an ad. No, I'm not giving him the ad revenue. Well, he's already got it, but I'm not watching it.
Diverse must adhere to GARM, the WEF, the WFA, and their subjective and biased standards in order to be deemed monetizable. If you think this is only something big news corporations have to contend with, think again. Even the content you consume from independent content creators on social media platforms, like the one on which you're watching this video, is subject to these globalist powers that be. So, for example, my friend Matt Walsh, he was demonetized on YouTube. Why? Well, because he says that men are not women.
Because he's just completely dismissing trans people. He's completely dismissing them.
On TikTok, another GARM member, where Daily Wire hosts are routinely hit with content strikes and various bans for saying things like men are not women. Meanwhile, Dylan Mulvaney shoots up the TikTok algorithms by insulting women, saying day one of being a girl and I've already cried 3 times already.
That's called a joke, Ben. I know you try to be a comedy writer, but that's called a joke.
If you question the accepted wisdom on COVID. So, for example, let's say you say that the vaccine's not great for kids. No evidence kids need them. Kids aren't dying from COVID. If you say any of those things, GARM, the WEF, the WFA, they will crack down on you with alacrity. In addition,
Why? Ben, if you're going to say something like that, you need to pull up the policy that's going to get you're going to get shadow banned from ads, okay? If you're going to say something like that, back it up. Show us. Don't just say it. Your audience deserves to have reason with your claim. You make a lot of claims and you don't show the proof. You act like you do. You are the master of like speaking in a confident tone and acting like what you say is the objective truth of all that there is to be. Just look at me now. I'm criticizing everything you say because everything you say is it's not holding water. It's not holding water in a paper cup.
how companies and creators are punished for violating these standards, it's also important to look at what is considered brand safe. In other words, what narratives are 90% of advertising revenue dollars working to advance? So for
Let me guess. Being inclusive.
Procter & Gamble, who advertise with Mulvaney, consider Mulvaney safe, as opposed to the Daily Wire, which is not considered brand safe, and thus would never be supported by the same advertisers.
My guy, the Daily Wire constantly promotes bigotry. Like, watch your own video, and you're going to realize that, wow, maybe if we're not just awful and dehumanizing to a group of people, we might get some sort of ads that are not just the worst companies or in-house companies. God, it's like Walmart complaining that they can't get anyone to do ads with them except for great value.
In some ways, they actually fund culture, like GARM member Bud Light sending a personalized girlhood beer can to Dylan Mulvaney, or GARM member Lego declaring gender is non-binary and making trans-themed Lego designs, or GARM member Hershey's using a male in a women's chocolate ad, or GARM member P&G's razor brand Gillette, which pushed toxic masculinity narratives and taught dads how to shave their daughters' beards. These are all endeavors deemed to be brand safe for companies to engage in, and not risk being either deprived of others' advertising dollars or having their advertising dollars turned away. By contrast, Jeremy's Razors, not a brand safe partner.
It's a plug.
Bud Light isn't going to be sending a flannel shirt to
No, because
Matt Walsh.
they're not going to send a flannel shirt to Matt Walsh because Matt Walsh has just spent the past like half year talking mad about Bud Light and their poor decisions because they decided to do a brand deal with a content creator who is trans. No, they're not going to send Matt Walsh they're not going to send him a flannel shirt. They're not. Stop it, Ben. Stop.
We have to be able to make money by producing the news. Fact checkers are now incentivizing media outlets to comply with the WEF GARM narratives by determining what is and what is not monetizable. The WEF, GARM, the WFA, they're all actively working with social media companies to censor what they consider to be misinformation, which very often is just good information with which they disagree.
No. That's called taking policies and enforcing them, Ben. Come on, you're into politics. You know this stuff. Policies come from the top down. These people are trying to enforce, a more inclusive market. They're trying to help create a more inclusive market. And all these brands are doing just this. They're coming together and agreeing that this is what we need to stand for. This is what we need to stand with. You're mad because you don't want to join the club, and they're saying you can't have access to our VIP club if you're not a member. You're mad because you aren't paying the dues of being a decent human being, albeit a pretty low bar, but you aren't even willing to just try. You aren't even willing to just not be a bigot. You aren't willing to just not be transphobic or homophobic. I mean, come on. The
WFA, GARM, they're all aggressively pouring billions of dollars a year into news and content that drives their preferred narrative. Narratives that are often counterfactual at best and harmful at worst. When you look at the news, you need to feel as though you're getting all the information. And even if one source isn't giving you all the information, you can check another source.
Did he just subliminal message us? No, he did not.
Getting all the information. And even if one source isn't giving you all the information, you can check another source. And all those...
Yep. That was a plug for Fox. If you're not getting all the information, CNN, you can go to another source, Fox News. To others, it might just be like an echo chamber. They're like, yeah. CNN doesn't have all the news. Fox has it all.
Sources together will give you a broad view of the world. But the World Economic Forum, the World Federation of Advertisers, and the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, they don't want you to have a full view of the news. They want you to see what they want you to see, and they will work to prevent anyone from disseminating information they don't pre-approve. They are determining what you see, what you hear, what you watch, and that's dangerous.
Yo, what? Did he just wrap up this entire video saying that these ad corporations, these ad policies are determining the viewership of news? Because that's dumb. That's dumb. That is not a fact. I feel like I walked away from the end of the video having more questions than I did in the beginning of the video. I may be wrong, but this doesn't really sound like a bunch of fact. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, tell me what you want me to talk about, criticize me, tell me I'm wrong. Go for it. Until next time.